My wife claimed she needed a mental break and booked a week-long girls' trip to relax. I believed her, why wouldn't I? She'd been distant, stressed, and constantly on edge. I thought she just needed time away. But when she returned, something felt off. She was quieter. Jumpier. And for the first time ever, she flinched when I touched her stomach. A month later, a doctor congratulated her on being pregnant. Except, we hadn't been intimate for almost 3 months. She insisted it was mine. Swore on everything. Even cried, ugly cried, saying she'd never betray me. But one message changed everything. One message from her so-called girls' trip group chat. A message that revealed there was no girls' trip, only one man. And when I confronted her, she didn't confess. She collapsed. She begged. That's when I realized something horrifying. She wasn't just pregnant. She was pregnant with another man's child. And both of them thought I'd raise it. They had no idea what I had planned next. Because the revenge I chose wasn't loud. Wasn't violent. Wasn't fast. It was patient. Surgical. A slow, inevitable collapse. Until they both lost everything. I used to think the biggest threat to a marriage was distance. You know, slowly drifting apart, losing the spark, routine replacing romance. I wasn't prepared for betrayal. I wasn't prepared for the kind of lie that grows silently beneath your roof, pulsing like a ticking bomb. The first crack in the illusion began 3 months before the truth exploded. It started innocently enough. She walked into the living room with her phone held to her chest like a delicate secret. I'm thinking about going on a girls' trip, she said. Just 4 or 5 days. I need a break. She looked tired, dark circles under her eyes, restless fidgeting, constant sighing. I'd been working overtime too, so maybe I'd missed the signs. I didn't want to be the controlling husband who forbids his wife from relaxing. So I smiled and said, go. Have fun. You deserve it. She hugged me longer than usual. Too long. I remember feeling her fingers dig slightly into my back as if she was afraid I might change my mind. Looking back, that was the first red flag. Within a week she had everything booked, hotel, flights, itinerary. She even showed me a fake group chat screenshot of her and her friends planning it. I didn't know it was fake at the time. I didn't know I was staring at evidence of a lie she spent weeks perfecting. And when the day came, I dropped her at the airport. She hugged me again, tight, trembling, and whispered, I'll miss you so much. At the time, I thought it was sweet. Now I know it was guilt. The first 2 days she sent photos, beach pictures, cocktails, group selfies where she stood in the foreground while the girls blurred in the back. The more I zoomed in on those pictures later, the more I realized the disturbing truth: the girls weren't even real. They were screenshots from influencers' Instagram stories. On day 3, she stopped sending pictures altogether. Her messages slowed. Her I love you text started feeling typed, not felt. That cold, automated affection. I asked if everything was fine. She said the signal was bad. That she was exhausted. That she would explain when she got back. If I had trusted my gut then, the story would have ended differently. But I didn't. I trusted her instead. When I picked her up from the airport, I noticed something immediately: her awkwardness. Not shy, not tired, awkward. Like someone carrying a fragile secret inside their body. She hugged me, but not like before. She kept her pelvis slightly away from me. I didn't understand that detail until much later. She was distant, introspective, oddly emotional. One minute she'd snap at me, and the next she'd cling to me like she was afraid I'd leave. At night she slept facing the wall. She guarded her phone like a soldier. She avoided intimacy completely. 3 weeks passed like this. 3 long, confusing weeks. One evening she started crying during dinner. Not regular tears, deep, body-shaking sobs. All I could think to do was hold her. She curled into me like a child, whispering apologies for things she wouldn't name. I asked her what was wrong. She said, I'm scared. Of what? I asked. She looked at her stomach. Then quickly looked away. My heart froze, but only for a moment. Then I rationalized it. Maybe she thought she was getting sick. Maybe she felt bloated. But she didn't say a word about pregnancy. Not then. The next morning she went to the doctor for a routine check. She refused to let me come. I didn't push. When she returned home, her face was ghost white. She handed me the paper. Congratulations. She was pregnant. 6 weeks along. 6 weeks. We hadn't been intimate in almost 3 months. My world tilted sideways. She collapsed into me, sobbing, swearing, promising it was mine. She said she miscalculated. Said she forgot our last time. Said stress affects the cycle. Said anything she thought might stick. I wanted to believe her, but the math wasn't mathing. Her panic felt rehearsed. Her apologies felt strategic. Her whole performance, the tears, the shaking hands, the desperate eye contact, felt like someone fighting for a role, not forgiveness. Still. I kept quiet. Because I needed proof. And proof came faster than I expected. A week later she left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't suspecting anything that morning. But when I passed by, a notification popped up. A message. From someone I didn't know. A man. The preview read. I can't stop thinking about our trip. I still can't believe you're keeping it. My blood turned to ice. I clicked it. And there it was. A full conversation. Hundreds of messages. Voice notes. Pictures. Including a hotel photo of her, same bedspread as the selfies she sent me, but this time, she was half naked and the guy's hand was on her thigh. And the worst part? She told him she'd work on convincing her husband it was his baby. That she'd say anything. That she'd pretend she was confused. That I was soft enough to fall for it. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped the laptop. I didn't confront her right away. Rage would have been too easy. Too satisfying for her. Too predictable. Instead, I waited. I studied every message. Memorized every lie. Saved every screenshot. And when she returned home, I acted normal. I cooked dinner, asked about her day, even kissed her forehead. She looked relieved. She truly thought she was winning. 2 nights later, after dinner, I calmly sat across from her and said, "I know." She froze. "Know what?" she whispered. "That the trip wasn't a girl's trip. That you're pregnant. And that the child isn't mine." Her fork clattered to the floor. She grabbed my hand. She begged. She swore. She lied and lied and lied again, layering new lies on top of the old ones, desperately stitching a sinking boat with wet paper. When I showed her the screenshots, she didn't even deny it. She just broke. And I thought the story would end here. But no. Because the guy, her affair partner, wasn't just some random fling. He wasn't just some vacation mistake. He was someone who had been planning a future with her. Someone who thought she'd leave me after she secured my support for the baby first. Both of them believed I'd raise it. Pay for it. Support her through the pregnancy. And once I was locked in financially, she'd walk away to be with him. Their plan was almost perfect. Almost. They underestimated the quietest person in the room. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I didn't hit anyone. I did something far worse. I prepared. Quietly. Intelligently. Meticulously. I contacted a lawyer. Started gathering financial records. Recorded every confession she made in the days following. She talked openly, thinking I was processing the betrayal, slowly, not realizing I was building a case brick by brick. I learned something interesting. Cheating while pregnant with another man's child carries serious legal consequences in many places. And I was ready to use all of them. But the best part? She had no idea. She thought I was considering giving the marriage another chance. She thought I was showing empathy. She thought I still cared. But the truth? My heart had already gone ice cold. And I wasn't done yet. After I discovered the truth about her girl's trip and the affair, I went cold. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I didn't make her fear immediate retaliation. Instead, I played the part she wanted, the forgiving, contemplative husband. Every morning, I made coffee. Every evening, I asked how she felt. I listened, nodded, and let her spill every detail of her guilt. She believed she was controlling the narrative. She thought she could manipulate me with confessions, with tears, with promises of never again. But while she was talking, I was planning. I meticulously documented everything, her messages, her photos, her admissions. I even set up discreet recordings, voicemails, videos, anything that could prove her deception and her collusion with her affair partner. I wanted to make sure that when I struck, it was absolute. It wasn't long before he appeared. He showed up unannounced, acting as though he were part of the plan. He wanted to check on her, make sure everything was still on track. I greeted him warmly. I smiled, shook his hand, and invited him in. He looked cocky, confident that I was blind, that he was untouchable. I poured him a drink. Offered snacks. Let him talk. He bragged about their plan, how she was keeping me in the dark and how soon I would be tied to them financially. How I would unknowingly fund the lifestyle of my own child's real father. He had no idea I was recording everything. Every boast. Every detail. Every damning word. The plan unfolded in stages. 1. Legal safety. I made sure every word she and he had exchanged was admissible. Contracts, messages, recordings, all documented and time-stamped. 2. Financial isolation. I quietly transferred joint assets and froze certain accounts, ensuring they couldn't leverage money against me. 3. Emotional leverage. I kept up the act, allowing her to believe I was still considering forgiveness, while subtly reminding her that one wrong move could ruin everything. 4. Timing. I knew I wanted the climax at the right moment, when her ego was highest, when the affair partner was most confident, when she thought I had lost the ability to retaliate. The critical element, patience. One evening, I invited both of them to discuss the pregnancy. She was nervous, he was smug. I started calmly. You two have a lot to answer for. The messages. The photos. The lies. Everything. He laughed. You can't prove anything. You have no evidence. I smiled. Then I played the recordings, one by one. Every conversation, every boast, every plot. Every word that tied her and him together in deception. Her face drained of color. He froze, the smugness leaving him like a cold wind. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I let the evidence speak. By the end, both were shaking. They knew I could destroy them legally, financially, and socially. And I intended to do it, all carefully, deliberately, leaving them with nothing. Next came the legal maneuvering. I contacted my lawyer and filed for Full custody of any future child with her, including protection from him. Financial restitution for emotional and psychological damages. Proof of paternity for insurance and inheritance claims. When the lawyer delivered the notices, they were stunned. They hadn't anticipated it. They thought I was too emotional, too blindsided to act rationally. I wasn't. While the legal system worked slowly, I orchestrated psychological pressure. I left subtle notes, small reminders of betrayal and truth. Not public, just enough to make them feel unsafe in the illusion they had built. She started snapping at him. He started doubting her. The trust that bound them together, the overconfidence, the arrogance, began cracking. And it was beautiful to watch. The final act came the day she was due. I accompanied her to the hospital, pretending to be supportive. She thought the child would be her ticket to manipulate me. She thought the affair partner might show up triumphant. Instead, I had prepared everything. Paternity tests ready. Legal representatives ready. Media and family informed in case she tried anything. When the baby was born, I smiled as the nurse placed him in my arms. DNA results confirmed what I had suspected all along: the child was not mine. I quietly left the hospital with my lawyer. She and the affair partner were left stunned. The message was clear. The child wasn't mine, but neither would they get what they wanted. The affair partner tried to sue. Tried to manipulate her. Tried to convince her to fight for custody. I had already covered every angle. She couldn't claim any joint financial advantage. He had no legal claim without consent. Every admission they had made was documented. The courts ruled in my favor, awarding me sole financial protection and barring him from any contact with her. She realized, too late, that I had dismantled the entire fantasy. She begged. She pleaded. She tried manipulating me one last time. I let her cry. I let her flounder. And then I walked away. I didn't just take revenge. I dismantled their plans, leaving them with nothing, no leverage, no claim, no victory. It wasn't about violence. It wasn't about public humiliation. It wasn't about anger. It was about precision. Patience. And truth. The betrayal hurt like a wildfire, consuming everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and partnership. But the revenge, it was cold, calculated, and perfect. They had underestimated me. They had underestimated the quiet man who observes, records, plans, and waits. And now? I walk free, unburdened by lies. They are left with the consequences of their own choices, utterly powerless, fully exposed, and painfully aware that they gambled everything, and lost.